Hey guys, I wanted to come on here and make a video sharing some really interesting research that I've been doing. I know it's been a while since I have popped onto my channel and I've just been busy with other things, although I have reopened my schedule for readings here and there, which has been really gratifying, and I've really enjoyed connecting with people again, and so I just thought I would come on here and share some really interesting information about Cardano. So I don't know if you guys have looked into Cardano. If you have, definitely let me know in the comments below. But I personally have been doing a lot of research into cryptocurrency over the last year or so, and my understanding of the way that these things play out astrologically, it's just been amazing. So I wanted to share some research that I've been doing on Charles Hoskinson and the protocol that is called Cardano, of which the native currency is ADA. So if you guys are interested in learning more about that, I'll put some links and information below the video to give you somewhere to go to look into this one if you have been looking into crypto at all, or if you've been looking into Bitcoin or Ethereum. I personally feel very strongly about ADA. I think that this is a cryptocurrency that really is undervalued, and I think that it has some amazing fundamentals and a really powerful idea behind it. And I think that it's going to be one of the ones to watch. So I've been, of course, any research that I do into cryptocurrencies, I always try and get the charts of some of the important things that will be involved, and important people, important dates, anything that I can get my hands on to sort of look at the energies is what I like to do. So I'm actually working off of this chart of Charles Hoskinson. I don't, in full disclosure, I don't know for exactly certain that this is the correct chart for him because, well, I know that it's the correct day, but the location, I've heard him say that he was born on Maui. But I don't know the exact town. Now, that wouldn't really change the chart too much as far as it being the correct, time, but I'm not 100% sure about the time. I actually got this time from another astrologer, but I'm not sure if it's perfect. However, I am going to say that while I was looking at this chart and several other important charts for Cardano, this time does actually seem to work. So, and I will get into that. But basically, if you're not familiar, essentially Cardano is a decentralized blockchain network that has a vision of giving economic identity to people, to everyone, while ensuring their privacy. And they have a particular focus on the developing world. So what they're doing right now is they're actually working with multiple countries in Africa, and they are in the process of releasing and announcing, the details of their ways that they're working with governments in these African nations. But basically, they are trying to bank the unbanked and giving people essentially the financial and economic empowerment of being able to bank themselves. So they're working to get inexpensive access to capital, um, very inexpensive, very like extremely low barrier to entry services, financial services for people to be able to start their own businesses, people to be able to basically just lift themselves up with blockchain technology. And I'm really excited to see where this goes. But essentially, Charles Hoskinson is a person who started this protocol, the Cardano Network, and the currency ADA. So basically, this is the chart for Charles Hoskinson, as far as I know, and it does seem to be pretty accurate. One of the things that I wanted to just, point out that's super glaring is this figuration of the Sun conjunct Pluto opposite, with the moon opposite. So this means that Charles was actually born on a full moon. And when I see people who have this configuration of the Sun, the moon, and Pluto, either all three conjunct or in a tight configuration, such as an eighth harmonic aspect. This is really significant, and typically, when you get the Sun Pluto people, you're getting people who are somehow deeply connected, like their sense of identity is deeply connected to a collective movement or a collective need. So the sun in a chart is your sense of individuality. It's your sense of who you are, who you think you are as a separate individual. But Pluto in general is the point that really signifies like the collective movement for survival, the collective movement for progress, the collective movement for evolution and change. And it's really like the need. It's the need for growth and change as, survival demands growth and change. So sometimes when you have someone with the Sun conjunct Pluto, it's almost like they embody an archetype that is widely somehow recognized by their peers or by their culture. They are somehow intrinsically tied to something that they may feel in a way powerless to change, but yet it's kind of their identity, or it's something having to do with how they perceive themselves or how the world perceives them. So they kind of, because Pluto is that overarching, force of the unconscious, it really represents forces that are overpowering to the individual, right? But when you have the Sun and Pluto conjunct, it's like that individual is going to have to work with the Pluto, the struggle for survival, the unsolvable problems. They see the wide-reaching implications of humanity's decisions, and they try to do something about it. This is like almost like a hero archetype in a way. If the person chooses to take it on and if they choose to work with that energy. But Pluto, as you know, can be ruthless. It can be a almost like if the person might feel almost bullied in a way in their life, because they're constantly getting up trying to change something for the better. They have these broader visions of what could be improved on in the world. But the Pluto is this element of a little bit of maybe pessimism or a feeling of like being overpowered by just the sheer magnitude of the complexity of the problems at hand. So when you have the Sun conjunct Pluto, the person, and if the person takes it on in a positive light, you can get these people who have the ability to influence a large group of people. They have the ability to initiate massive change, but they may, always sort of deal with this feeling of an inability to actually like make the changes that they want to make. They can feel kind of overpowered as well, and it's a struggle. The moon is opposite this conjunction. So that means the moon is, configured to this conjunction. And when you have someone born on a full moon, they tend to be very, full moon people tend to be very frank. So they don't really hide a lot. They don't try and cover their tracks, really. Like what you see is what you get. So it's interesting to have this Sun-Pluto conjunction in Scorpio, which does imply a certain aloofness or a certain, lack of visibility of the inner contents, if you will, because Scorpio is that kind of secretive, hidden, occulted sort of sign. And then you have this, very open full moon that's just, bright, and it's a glow in this chart. So you also get this sense that like, yes, there's a lot of depth here, but there is a sense that like everything is being, everything that's like deep within this person is sort of being shown on the outer level. Like there isn't a sense of like, oh, let me hold my cards close. It's like, I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. And because it's Scorpio and the sun conjunct Pluto, there can be a little bit of pessimism in what the person thinks, but they will tell it to you straight. So this is just some generalities. I'm not saying that all of this stuff that I just communicated is true for Charles, but that's just kind of how I would look at the symbolism. A couple of other things. Mercury is opposed to Jupiter in this chart, and Mercury is in Libra on the MC. So it's also retrograde, meaning that usually when someone's born under retrograde Mercury, they kind of think differently in a way. And you can look at the aspects that retrograde Mercury is making and kind of get more insight into that. So this is a Mercury that's in retrograde opposed to Jupiter in Aries. And Jupiter in Aries can be a signifier for things that have a martial quality. So generals, and like it can come across sort of like military authority, right? Because Jupiter is authority, and Aries brings in that sort of martial theme of military and so on. And you also have Mars, approaching in opposition here with Jupiter as well, which ties that in. But when I look at this, I see, Mercury's in Libra, which is a sign of partnership. It's a sign of working together. It's sort of a think about other people's needs kind of sign, and it's also a very egalitarian sign. It's a humane sign. And then you have this Jupiter, which is like authority in Aries, which is a subjective sign. It's about what do I need to move forward? What do I need in order to achieve my goals, And so with Mercury in opposition to that energy, it's almost like this is somebody that tries their best to have an objective outlook on life. Like they don't want to get caught up in what they perceive to be what's right for them. They want to look at what is right for others. And they see value in that. They see value in looking at what's best for everyone, right? That's Libra. It's think about the other people involved. Think about the scales. Think about what's fair. Think about justice. Whereas Jupiter in Aries is like, I need to, be strong so that I can get my way kind of thing. But this person has this kind of dichotomy in their chart because the Mercury represents the way that they think, and their thinking is in opposition to this Jupiter. However, the Jupiter is still in the chart, and it is on the 4th house cusp. So there may have been like a strong father figure or difficult father figure energy, or maybe a good father, but just a very, strong father. Somebody, Jupiter in Aries is like, it's there can be like some discipline. But I'm digressing. So I just want to point out a couple things. The ascendant, if this time is correct, would be 12 of Capricorn. Okay, so let's take a look at some more charts. So Cardano Network was named after the astrologer Gerolamo Cardano. And we actually do have his exact birth time given by him in one of his books, because he was an astronomer, astrologer. Those things were linked back then, but he was also a mathematician, and he was a scholar and a teacher in Italy. So there's a lot here, and I don't want to go too far into this, but this is really where it starts to get magical. So Charles Hoskinson created Cardano Network, named after the mathematician, astronomer Gerolamo Cardano. Okay, so that's the connection. And this is where it starts to get interesting, and it makes me almost wonder if there isn't some kind of past life connection here, or if there isn't some sort of carrying on of a mission of some sort. Because look at this. Okay, so their Mercuries are conjunct. Mercury at 27 Libra, Mercury at 20, Gerolamo Cardano has Mercury at 26 Libra. Gerolamo Cardano's Venus is also kind of tied in there, opposing Charles Hoskinson's Jupiter, and conjunct Charles's Mars. And this really shows the sense of like what this person, Gerolamo Cardano, in the 1500s So 16th century, we're talking about somebody. This person had a set of values, right, which is Venus, that Charles Hoskinson is sort of tying into. They think the same, right? And I've actually asked Charles Hoskinson what the meaning is of why he named Cardano after Girolamo Cardano, and I haven't gotten an answer yet. So if anybody has information on this, definitely feel free to post it and share with us. I have my suspicions and assumptions, but I haven't gotten exact information about this yet. But I do think that this chart is very, very fascinating. So Neptune is at 16 of Capricorn, which is conjunct Charles Hoskinson's ascendant, right? So Girolamo Cardano's Neptune, which is his dreams, his goals, his vision, is conjunct Charles's ascendant, which is how he presents himself to the world. It's how people see him, right? So it's the ascendant is our window between us and the outer world. And so seeing the Neptune of Girolamo Cardano here on Charles's ascendant shows me that Charles Hoskinson is someone who lives, he's like living and embodying or attempting to live and embody some kind of an ideal, basically, that Girolamo Cardano would have conceptualized in some way. You know, there's this almost, there can be an altruistic desire, you know, with Neptune. And I would also point out that the MC, Girolamo Cardano, his MC is conjunct Charles's ascendant as well. So it's almost like Girolamo Cardano's life's work, which is his MC, is contributing to who Charles is in his life today. Now, this is where it gets really, really weird. The nodes in astrology are considered to be they're kind of a message of insight into a soul's growth, right? And here we have Girolamo Cardano's nodes at 11 of the fixed axis of Scorpio Taurus is actually exactly in alignment with Charles's Sun Pluto and his full moon in Taurus. So if that isn't a signature of some kind of soul connection, I don't know what is. Because literally, this axis, which is such an important axis for Charles, where he has this Sun-Pluto, you know, theme playing out in his life, it's his life's work, right? And he's trying to fix these problems, right? Unsolvable problems that what feel to be unsolvable. They're obviously they are solvable, but it feels so massive. It feels so powerful and overpowering. That's Girolamo Cardano's nodes. So it's the south node and the north node right there, right in alignment with that axis. So there is something here, guys. There's definitely something here that I think is being helped by spirit. I'm going to say that. I do feel that there is some kind of positive, I would say maybe daemon, even just if you think about people who are almost kind of like their heritage on a mental level. Like we have, just like we have biological ancestors, we also have like mental and philosophical ancestors, right? Like we may not be blood related to them, but they are our ancestors because they came before us in our particular line of thought, in our goals, in our philosophy, in our technology. We're carrying on. We're almost we're almost like temples. Like if you think about a very cultivated mind, like someone who's very skilled at what they do, like a really amazing physician, right? A physician is sort of carrying out the archetype of a good doctor. A really amazing physician is carrying the archetype of Hippocrates, right? A good physician is carrying on the work of all of the prior good physicians before them. So there's definitely at least a sense of intellectual or philosophical or technological ancestry here with the nodes conjunct this axis, this very important axis for Charles. Now, this is also where things get really weird. So Saturn opposition right here between the two at exactly 19 degrees of Gemini and Sagittarius. So again, and it's the 12th and the 6th house axis, and these are both, not great positioned Saturns by sign. So it's like picking up the challenging workload of something, some line of thinking, some effort, some work. There's a sense of, the work, the Saturn of Gerolamo Cardano is challenging the Saturn of Charles Hoskinson in a way, or Charles Hoskinson's picking up almost in some way, shape, or form of like a line of thinking, right? Because it's Gemini and Sagittarius. Okay, and now let's take a look and we'll put it on a tri-wheel. And I'm going to show you this. This is even really strange. So now we have again this, mid-range Capricorn, this 16 degrees of Capricorn coming full circle. When we look at the natal chart, and I shouldn't really say natal chart, but it's really the first trade chart that I'm using for ADA, which is again the native currency of the Cardano platform. So here we have Pluto, wow, bang on this Neptune, right? So again, Pluto, Neptune, it's the outer planets. These outer planets represent larger energies than any one individual person can possibly fathom or deal with. No one lives through a whole Pluto cycle, right? Pluto represents energies and Neptune represents energies that are so vast that a single human life is not capable of experiencing them because of the time it takes them to go through the entire zodiac. So symbolically, when you have these outer planets, these very powerful outer planets, it represents aspects of the collective psyche that are beyond the conscious level and are, as individuals, we can only experience fragments of them, within ourselves. So these are big energies. And here we have the Pluto conjunct the Neptune, also conjunct the ascendant of Charles. So again, it's like these larger themes having to do with the evolution of the human race are, working through these people. Now they're working through Gerolamo. They were working through somebody before him. Now they're working through Charles. And working by extension through cryptocurrency as a whole, as well as the inspirations such as the Cardano Network, such as these other even Bitcoin as well. And I would also point out that this ascendant is also conjunct Bitcoin's sun at 13 Capricorn. So all this stuff is linked, guys. We just need to know how to look for the symbolism and to interpret it so that we can understand what's really going on. So we can see a lot of connections here that are really impressive. So the sun here at 10 degrees in Gerolamo Cardano's chart, due to the effects of precession, is actually still conjunct the sun of the ADA first trade chart. So it's almost like a realization, right? There's a manifestation here. There's something this, if you think of the sun like a sunflower just kind of opening up, it's like the universe is manifesting something here, and it's connected to the line of ideas that both of these individuals were keying into. And I don't know where this is going, but I think it's going to be really positive. That's just my inclination. So Jupiter in the Cardano Network ADA first trade chart is exactly conjunct the Mercuries of both Charles and Gerolamo. So again, it's like this mind is being utilized along with probably a lot of others. A lot of other people have inspired this movement towards decentralization, this movement towards egalitarian commerce, this movement towards free trade among individuals, this movement towards sovereignty for all. There's a lot of people involved in this. This is a very, very narrowed in astrological perspective that I'm sharing here, but I hope that this kind of gives you some faith in the way that things are going, you guys. Like, this is so beautiful. This Jupiter is just bestowing the gifts, like of all of this effort and thinking that has gone into everything that has brought us up to this point in our technology, as well as everywhere that we're going. It's like Jupiter being there just shows, that this is part of a blessing. This is part of a process that is guided in some way. And I just love the symbolism and the connections between these three charts. It is just so magical. I would also point out too that ADA was first traded. Cardano was actually, coming into an existence at Charles's Saturn return. So that also really speaks about what this project means, for him personally. It's his life's work. It really is. And it's, again, that Saturn is in alignment with Girolamo Cardano's Saturn at 19 of Gemini. So again, it's all keyed together, right? The following the line of thinking to create new technologies that will empower regular people to be able to engage with each other and become prosperous without usury, without the entrapment of heavy bureaucracy and traditional finance, which, let's face it, tends to favor the few at the expense of the many, right? And here we almost have this like David and Goliath like theme playing out here, where the way that people are able to use their minds, right, to come up with solutions is able to lift people up into positions of sovereignty. And again, this is just a tiny sliver. This is a tiny, tiny sliver of what's going on in cryptocurrency. But I just think, these charts hold some value when we can look at the connections of these things in history as well. This is somebody who is born in 1501, and their symbolism, their mind, what they contributed to scientific thought is still playing out in 2021. It's actually coming to blossom. This is a blossoming of very old ideas and very old efforts. So I just wanted to share this. I know this is a very brief thing, but I just wanted to share this because I think it's really, really amazing. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you want to see more of my analysis into this type of thing, I would absolutely love to hear from you. I hope you guys are doing well, and I will talk to you next time.